a few beers and more than a few sometimes. And he say, you're just going to be over there wasting your time. Why don't you come out and help me and, open the gate with the high school kids and the Pee Wee teams and stuff. And so that's, I think, when I really got a taste of, having fun with kids and, tell them to keep their head up and stay in their wing. Don't break their goalie stick over the net when it costs their mom and dad a lot of money. So that's pretty much when it all started. And Tim and I had a special relationship, for about 48 years. And, Tim, this is for you. The rest of it happened in 72, I think, when I went over there as a player coach in the B League. And I was supposed to coach with Vladimir Kobanov. Now, I had no idea. I knew he was a Czech player. And I knew he was put in a concentration camp at one time with his teammates. And I knew that someone told me, one of the directors, that he had played in Wimbledon also, like in 47, 48 in doubles. And I'm thinking, I got to meet this guy. Wow. And he was a tennis coach and everything. Well, he was the nicest guy I probably ever met in my life, in terms of just so genuine and so down to earth. And his story, that I would have never known how the profound impact that he would have on me. And when I was leaving Switzerland, he had us over, my wife and I, for supper one night. And as we were leaving, he took me into the fireplace, and he reached up, and there was a little crystal candy bowl about this big and another one with a top on it, and he gave them to me. And it was his mom's, his family, and I looked at him, and I says, Vladimir, I can't accept this. And, he says, we're friends, take it, and I went, wow. So he said, I want you to do me one favor. He says, when you go back to the States, I want you to buy every John Wooden book you can buy and send it to me. And I said, John Wooden's basketball, what, and he says, Jack, 2, 1, 2, defensive zone. And he was, he just would take the Olympic ice and just cut the middle, down, and we'd go on the ice and we'd be teaching the youth kids and stuff. And then our coach on the senior team got fired. We lost 3 games right away, and they panicked, and Freddie didn't get along with some of the players, and so they said, okay, fine, Vladimir, when you're available, you're behind the bench with the senior team, and you're coaching one of the youth teams, and Jack, you're player coach that night. So then, I was 30 years old. He was 43. He was 6'1", weighed 195. He'd stand out there at the blue line. Of course, most of the rinks then were 57 feet. They weren't 60 feet, but didn't matter. He'd look at the goalie, and he says, check your posts. And, our goalie was checking his post. Snap, wrist shot, just off the ice, inside the pipe. I looked at him, I thought, why doesn't he come and play for us right now? I mean, he was a Greek god and just a great guy. But, he had such a profound effect on me, I think, and I didn't realize it. When I got into Waterloo, coaching in Waterloo, and it was a senior and junior league, and it transformed into what it is now. We had a lot of ups and downs, and there was times, some of the situations that I ran into, I'd always think about, and the players don't look like they're having much fun at practice, or this isn't going right or that's going right, and I go back and look at little notes and stuff that he had and find some, just bizarre drill that he had, and throw it out there, and the guys would come up smiling and say, we got to try that. Do we get it? That's cool, and do that. So Vladimir was a real big piece of my life. And this connection coming up next in my little speech here is just, it's incredible. Brian Riley played for me in 1977, 78, right, Brian? I got it right? And he came with Ronnie Millardo, and they had played for McShane. And, his dad, I was at West Point for 5 to 6 weeks before Christmas '62 trying to make the national team. And I never went to college because I couldn't diagram a sentence in English, and my teacher made me stay back, and it took 5 years to get my high school education. And I got so mad at, I wasn't going to college. It just wasn't for me. But anyway, here's Brian Riley's dad scoring 2 goals against Kobernoff's team, the only game that the Czechs got beat in 1949 in Stockholm when they won the gold medal. And then I'm reading this about 4 weeks ago, and I'm yelling at my wife, Kath, come here. She goes, my high school coach, Artie Krause, was on the team. He was one of the leading scorers. Charlie Holt was on the team. Kelly was on the team, Jack Kelly. And, I sit there and I think, how do you get this connection? And it can only happen in hockey, And so had I not received this award, I would have not known the connection with Kobernoff, Brian's dad, my high school coach, and so on. So that's why it's kind of a special thing, not only getting this award and being with you guys. And the guys that know me, and I've been in a lot of your dressing rooms of college coaches, and when I was working with Central Scouting, and I just want to thank you, because I never went into anybody's room that I didn't have a warm smile and a shaking of the hand and everything. So I'd like to thank all you college coaches for that. The other part of this would be, my wife told me to keep this and keep it organized and make it short. She says, don't go too far, but participating in the sports festivals, being part of, like 1979, before the '80 Olympic team was there, and Jack, we were there in Broadmoor, and I'm working with the Minnesota team with Gus Hendrickson and Jim Montgomery. We got Broughton, there were so many players that you came across then. I said to Gus, what are we going to do for practice? He said, Jack, you go ask Pavlich how he wants the forecheck. You go ask Neil how he wants the forecheck, and sit on the boards with me and watch. And so anyway, that was just a precious time. I never forgot that. And I remember coaching Waterloo and being on the bus when they won, and I jumped up and hit the rack, and I thought I knocked myself out, and I was so excited for those guys to win that Olympic thing, and it was just great. But those, I'll cherish those moments with USA Hockey, and my dad was very active and very much a part of the New Haven Pee Wee hockey program from, when they started in 1946, and to him I owe a lot, to my dad. He put skates on me when I was 4 years old, started playing at 6. We were playing, when I was 6, I was playing against kids who were 11 and 12. I was the littlest guy on the team, and he says, don't try to go through anybody. Go around. You'll last longer. But anyway, closing off, I'd like to just say that there's a few people, their support and friendship played a huge part when things went tough in Waterloo, and I went over and started Dubuque's team, and we were trying to balance in the books. We were trying to take it from senior hockey to junior hockey, and people in town the attendance was going down. And Dave Tyler, who was with USA Hockey for years, was a very, very strong part of helping us afloat. Walt Kyle's dad was incredible and a real close friend, tough to lose. Just like, every time I turn around, he says, Jack, if you can pay for it, don't pay interest. That's all don't pay interest. And then Ron Woody, who was really with the Vulcans and stuff, and Stan Hubbard used to sponsor the Vulcans. Ron would come to me and he'd say, look, you're the treasurer, I'm the president, and then we have the rest of the board. And I says, what's that mean, Ron? He says, whatever we want to do, we're going to do. You just got to convince those guys that we're going to get it done. And Ron was a character, but oh boy, what a strong influence and impact, and helped keep the look. And then I must say that Chuck Grillo and his wife, he just lost his wife, Claire. I went to work for Chuck after I left Dubuque, and I didn't have a job, and I was up there the first summer, and I worked over 13 summers up at Brainerd Hockey Camp. But the first time I ever met Chuck, he called me in the room, and Tony Granato was sitting there, and I'm trying to think who else. There was a list of other guys and coaches were there, and he says, hey, I want you guys to meet Jack Barzee. But he usually goes by Charlie Manson. And I go, was he a wise guy? I belt this guy, I thought, he had a straight face and everything like that. And after I would soon realize that he was saying that, he said why I was maybe successful as a coach, because I believed in what I believed, and the players followed me and whatever. But Brian Riley, Bobby Motzkow, I'm so proud to watch those guys. Scotty Sanderlin, had one short time, couple weeks of the World Junior when You know, the guys, it's so, I mean, my wife said, what are you doing? Well, I just check the bank accounts. I'm checking the hockey reports. You know, I'm on my computer, just following up and watching them. But I'm so proud of every player that ever played for me, because I wouldn't be standing here. And my wife knows this, and I think everybody that knows me knows that the United States Hockey League is a piece of me down deep. Thank you very much. I better take this, Joe.
I learned not to go down the list of acknowledging people that are here. I'm going to recognize two, one now, one before the next award. Saturday morning, I mentioned we have a retired coaches panel, and one of the former winners of the Kelly Award that Jack just received is back after too long away from Naples. One of the more beloved coaches in our group. And when he was an active coach, I served on the rules committee with him. We all looked forward to see who he was going to be on the opening business meeting when he introduced himself as a different person each year. But I do want to acknowledge the return to Naples of Mike Sertich. So Mike's here tonight. Next award is the Terry Flanagan Award, named in honor of the former UNH player and Bowling Green assistant. This award honors an assistant coach's career body of work, and this year's recipient is Mike Gensel. Mike's in his second stint with the Gopher coaching staff, a former Minnesota player and assistant coach. He first worked for the Gophers from 1994 to 2008. Then he rejoined the staff in the summer of 2011 as associate head coach after spending 3 years away from the program. A Marble, Minnesota native, he played defense for Minnesota from 81 to 85, returned to the staff after 1 year as an assistant coach at Nebraska Omaha during the 2010-2011 season. From 2009-10, he was head coach and general manager of the Des Moines Buccaneers in the USHL. He's also an assistant coach at Colorado College in the 08-09 season. In his 20 years as a coach at Minnesota, he's led them to a pair of national championships, 16 NCAA tournament appearances, 6 Frozen Four appearances, and 13 conference and playoff regular season titles. Prior to his first stint at Minnesota, he spent 2 seasons as head coach and general manager of the Omaha Lancers of the USHL. In his first season, he won both the regular season and playoff title. He began his coaching career in 1986 as an assistant coach for the St. Paul Vulcans, being promoted to head coach and general manager in 89. In 92, he was honored as the USHL Coach of the Year. He also served 3 years as assistant coach with the U.S. Junior National Team under Dean Blaze in 94, Jeff Jackson in 95, and Jack Parker in 96. He's been a member of the coaching staff of 6 U.S. national teams. Captain of the 85 Gophers, he had 87 career points in 143 games. After his collegiate career, he was an 81 draft pick of the New York Rangers and played professionally in both the IHL and the AHL. It's my pleasure to present this year's Flanagan Award to Mike Gensel.
Thank you, Joe. I'm obviously very humbled and honored to receive the Terry Flanagan Award this year. When Coach Lucia told me that I was going to win the award this year after one of our practices, I was obviously very humble and excited and nervous from that standpoint, too. It's a remarkable group of people that have won this award previously, and obviously great guys that I've coached against for 22 years as a college coach. In our business, it certainly means a lot when people reach out to you, and still as of today, thank you for what you've done in receiving this award tonight. And one of the first people that thanked me and sent me a text was Mike Gibbons, last year's award winner. And Gibby, in his humble way, said, first of all, congrats on winning the award. My son told me last year when I was named the award winner, they honor the oldest living assistant coach. But he said, more importantly, you're receiving this award similar to what Mel Pearson and Mike Kavanaugh did. And they became head coaches, and sooner or later your chance is going to come, and so keep working. So it was just, an inspirational message to Mike that I was very, very appreciative. In 1987, after graduating from the university and having basically a cup of coffee in the American League and the International League. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was working on a part-time sporting goods job in Kokish Athletic in Hopkins, and I was chasing, basically my college degree, which I finished, and then I looked at it and said, as we tell our student athletes, what are you going to do in life after hockey? And at that time, I was very fortunate because I met Kevin Hartzell. And Kevin was a captain when I was a freshman at Minnesota, and Paul Osby, who was on his staff with the St. Paul Vulcans, had decided that he was going to give up his job and get into the business world and not coach hockey anymore. And for some luck of fate, Kevin called me and said, Mike, would you be interested in talking to me about the position with the Vulcans? And I said, geez, Kevin, I'd love to coach. I don't know anything about it, but I'll try to do my best. He says, well, we have to go through some loopholes here first. And first one was meeting Stan Hubbard, who was one of the terrific owners of the St. Paul Vulcans in the USHL at that time. And Stan, being as thorough as he was, as such a successful businessman in the Twin Cities, said, Mike, you need to go through a psychological sports analysis test that we offer all of our employees. We want to find out what your strengths and weaknesses are. And we certainly want you to attend some Dale Carnegie speaking classes. And I said, geez, that's a lot. I'm hoping just to run a few drills successfully in practice. But he wanted to make sure that I was prepared for that opportunity. And, I worked with Kevin for 3 years. And then after 3 years, I quickly realized when Kevin turned over the reins to me to get into the business world with the Hubbards that why Stan had put me through all these obstacles to try to get this job. I mean, he believed in making sure that his employees were ready, and I was very fortunate to work with a tremendous owner there. From there, after coaching the Vulcans for 3 years, I went on and coached in Omaha, and I couldn't ask for a better situation in Omaha, and it was a big leap of faith for me. I grew up in northern Minnesota, and they had the opportunity to go to Omaha, which was obviously a long ways away from home, but more than anything, it was such a tremendous challenge in a job opportunity. But I had the good fortune of being talked into that position by Ted Baer, who I thought at that time was the second greatest owner in the USHL and had a very, very successful franchise. And when Ted bought the team, they were 0-48, and then he made the best hire he could make. He hired Frank Serratore to coach the team and turn it around. And by the time I was in that position, that organization was running very, very well. So I was very, very fortunate there. When I first started coaching, and I have to give a lot of credit to, I think, the three people that I probably most richly deserve, to be recognized tonight for me getting into coaching, and that would be number one, Harts, for believing in me and trusting me with the opportunity to coach the Vulcans. Number two, being so close to the university and playing there for 4 years and being a gopher. When Doug Wu got the job in 1986, he was a former Vulcan coach, and he looked at us and he said, hey, whatever you guys need, whatever we can help you with, we're more than willing to reach out and do that. And basically what ended up happening, other than standing on the bench on Friday night and Saturday night, I was involved in every operational meeting that they had, every coaching plan meeting, being able to sit and watch practices. So with Doug and Billy Butters, they gave me every opportunity to develop my coaching skills. And I think at that point, I really started to get the itch and decide this is when I really want to be a coach. So I owe those guys a tremendous amount of gratitude. As it's been mentioned, I grew up in a small town in Marble, Minnesota, 700 people. And for me to go to the University of Minnesota in 1981 was a big leap of faith as well. I mean, I graduated 100 students, and I was going to go to Minnesota where there was 35 to 40,000 students at the University of Minnesota. So I looked at it as a great opportunity. I have to thank Brad Butow for giving me that chance to be a gopher, and it was the best decision I ever made. I had been a transplant in Twin City and ever since, and something that my wife and I have been able to raise our boys in a great area, and certainly the University of Minnesota has been tremendous to us. I want to thank USA Hockey. As Joe said, I was very, very fortunate when Art Berglund reached out to me in the mid-'90s and said, Mike, we'd like you to join the staffs of Dean and obviously Jeff Jackson and Jackie. And I was nervous, and I was intimidated. I was in the USHL, and these guys are significant big-time college coaches, but at no point did I ever feel that these guys did anything but, give me every opportunity to continue to gain knowledge, learn from them, and be a participant on their staffs, and I have to thank those guys from them. I owe a great deal of gratitude to Art Berglund. He's just a tremendous gentleman, and I have to tell you, 10 days ago on a Sunday night, I'm driving from Sioux City home after a USHL game, and I'm 10 minutes from Worthington, Minnesota, and the Pittsburgh Penguins just beat the Columbus Blue Jackets in overtime. And I got 4 text messages within 30 seconds, and the first phone call I got was from Art Berglund. and he couldn't have been more happy for me, my family, and my son to be in that situation that night. And I'll be forever indebted to Art Berglund. He's a tremendous man. He's been an ambassador for all of us coaches and for USA Hockey, and he deserves a great deal of credit. I want to talk about my experience at the University of Minnesota. As I said, Brad gave me the chance to be a gopher. I owe him a lot. I want to talk about my second family, which means a lot to me when I talk about the Gophers. I spent 24 years of my life at the U. I've been very, very fortunate. I was hired by Don Lucia when he took the job in 1999. Within 3 years, we've been able to win back-to-back national championships. Don retained me on that first staff with John Hill, and it was very rewarding. And after 2 years, John took the job at Alaska, and then Bob joined our staff, and we went on to win those 2 national championships. And I couldn't be more fortunate. I've worked with a man for 15 years at the University of Minnesota who's won 438 games at our school, the most of all time. He's the 6th winningest coach in the history of the Gophers. We've been able to hang 14 banners in those 15 years with Don and I and Bob and John and obviously now Grant on our staff, and it's just been a very, very rewarding experience, and I owe a great deal of gratitude and thanks to Don for giving me that opportunity to fulfill some dreams of coaching and being able to work with the unbelievable athletes we've had at our place. I've been very, very fortunate that we've had some really good people along the way that have mentored me. I cannot go without saying tonight that from my hometown, to give me an opportunity to be a Gopher and to be a successful hockey coach, I owe a lot of thanks to Bob Janander, who was recognized here a couple years ago with the Mariucci Award, and Mike Antonovich. Tremendous people, tremendous ambassadors of hockey, have experiences at all levels. And with those 2 people and with Frank Serratori and Tom Serratori, I've been blessed because I've been around hockey people on a daily basis, whether it's been in the spring, summer, fall, or winter, and I've learned a lot from those guys. And today, they're my greatest friends, and obviously all of them are my greatest supporters, and I owe all those guys a great deal of thanks. I've never taken a job since I left the St. Paul Vulcans without getting a phone call or making a phone call to Frank Serratori. He has given me the best advice over the years. He's been an unbelievable resource for me, and he's never steered me in the wrong direction. And I have been very, very fortunate that I've had the opportunities that I've had that Joe rattled off here because Frank has guided me along the ways. I've been lucky in the USHL. When I coached there, I've had Mike Hastings, I've had Doc Del Costello, and I've had Tom Ward. And all 3 of those guys are tremendously successful coaches. They all went on to run their own junior programs, and they're unbelievable coaches that do a great job of developing student athletes and players. And I thank them greatly. I want to acknowledge a couple other people from my second family. Our program administrator, Tom McGinnis, is here. Tom's been a great communication piece for our program, and he's been a great resource for Don and I and Grant over the last 6 years, and I thank him greatly for what he's provided our program. I do want to thank Grant. I've worked with Grant for 6 years. I believe Grant will be a very, very successful coach at Northern Michigan, and his wife, Missy, and Grant will raise their family in Northern Michigan, and they'll be very, very successful there. Joining us this year was Ben Gordon. I coached Ben in the mid-2000s. He was on 4 of our teams right after we won the championships, and we hired Ben back this year from Tri-City, the USHL, to work with us as our hockey ops guy, and he'll be one terrific head coach and assistant coach in the near future. There's a couple other people here that joined me tonight. Wooger's here, and I know he was mentioned by Joe that, Surtees here. We have some, Doug's here, and it just means so much to me that he showed up tonight. He's been down here vacationing with some friends in Florida, but I'm in debt to Doug for showing up here tonight. One of my really, truly great friends in this sport and outside the sport has been Mark Barr. I worked with Mark for 19 years, and Mark, he's been there for me every step of the way. He's a great person. He's a great human, and he'd do anything for me, and I love him to death. He's just a terrific guy. I want to thank Ann and Leo Crowley for being here tonight. They're the parents of Mike Crowley, who was arguably, for me, the best defenseman ever to play in our tenure at Minnesota, and he's just a terrific player, and they're just unbelievable people, and, just the lifeline of people like that in our program. I would be remiss if I didn't thank my family, and I have to read this because I really don't want to forget anything. My oldest son, Ryan, is here, and Ryan played for Jeff, Paul, and Andy at Notre Dame and received his degree in finance from Notre Dame, and he's a proud Irish alum. Gabe played for Scotty and Joe at CC, and he received an economics degree, and he's still currently playing in the DL in Augsburg. My youngest son, Jake, was not able to attend tonight. He's got bigger things ahead of him tomorrow night. So he's busy preparing for the playoffs. He's probably at this point either bringing room service to Crosby or Malkin, but I'm not sure which one. But it's kind of been a little different for our family. Obviously, it's been a tremendous year to be able to follow his progress. But I got to tell you, 6 weeks ago, my name was Mike Enzo, and the last 6 weeks, my name has been Jake's dad. So it's been a little bit, for my wife and I, just amazing to experience that. And then I'd be remiss, obviously, if I didn't mention my wife. I married, somebody who knew a great deal about hockey. I think I've only ever had really one serious hockey discussion with my wife over the years about the game. She knew the game. She was a cheerleader. She grew up around the game, and I've been dating my wife since I was a junior in high school, and we've been married now for almost 32 years. But she's been a great mom. Our only discussion in hockey has ever been, geez, how come so-and-so's not passing to Ryan? How come so-and-so's not passing to Gabe? And how come so-and-so's not passing to Jake, damn it? And I said, Sally, let me give you one tip about hockey sense. Every player can look, but not every player can see. And she says, I get it. So that's been the only time when we've ever had the hockey discussion. She has experienced the agonies of defeat and the thrill of victory through the boys' youth hockey, through their junior hockey, their high school hockey, through the Irish, the Tigers, the Mavericks, and certainly the Gophers. And she's been there because there's a lot of days we all know we come home moody, we're grouchy, we're up and down. We ride the roller coaster, but she has rolled those emotions with me, and I told her, and this is my wife and I's little discussion. I mean, I'm not a overly lovey-dovey wife, with my wife, but I told her when I married her that I loved her, and if I ever changed my mind, I'd let her know. But tonight, I got to tell you, I love you more than I've ever loved you. Truly is an honor to be here tonight. I want to congratulate all the other award winners. I want to congratulate Denver Pioneers for being the king of hockey this year. Congratulate Jack, because Jack has been a great help to me and a great resource to me as well over the years. I want to thank Joe and Bruce for all they do, and certainly for Dave Starman for being the spokesman he is for our game. Thank you very much.
As I mentioned, it's dangerous to identify people, but there's another guy here tonight who's going to be honored later in the year who won the McInnes Award a few years back. As you know, when the Hobie Baker Award is given out, they always honor a legend of hockey. And the 2017 legend of hockey is Billy Riley, the former Lowell coach, a BU player, and I think Billy's in the room tonight, so congratulations, Billy. My final assignment is to present the John McInnes Award, which was established by the AHCA in 1982 to honor the former Tech coach John McInnes. This award recognizes those people who have shown a great concern for amateur hockey and youth programs. The recipients have also had high winning percentages as well as outstanding graduation percentages among their former players. The winners of this award have helped young men grow not only as hockey players, but more importantly as men. This year's recipient is Rick Comley. Rick was one of the longest tenured and most successful coaches in NCAA history, winning 783 games at 3 institutions in a 38-year career. He's one of only 2 NCAA coaches to win NCAA titles at 2 different schools, and he ranks 5th all-time in career victories with 783. He's a 71 graduate of Lake Superior, where he played for Ron Mason. He started his coaching career with the Lakers in '73, taking over for Ron when he went on to Bowling Green. Comley would again succeed Mason in 2002, that time at Michigan State. In 3 years at Lake Superior, he compiled a 59, 49, and 3 mark and won an NAIA national championship. Moved on to Northern Michigan, launching that fledgling program, and stayed for 26 seasons, adding another 538 wins. His first NCAA title came in 1991, in one of the NCAA tournament's most dramatic championship games ever. A 3 overtime come from behind 8-7 win over Boston University. He was one of just 3 coaches to win regular season titles in both the WCHA and the CCHA, the others being Bill Selman and George Gwozdecki. As I mentioned, in 2002, he again succeeded his own coach when Ron Mason retired as college hockey's winningest coach at that time. Rick proceeded to win another 186 games in East Lansing and added the 2007 NCAA title. His teams would include 12 players who would skate in the National Hockey League, 15 All-League players, 6 All-Americans, and 3 Hobey Baker finalists. He was presented our Coach of the Year award, the Spencer Penrose Award, as the nation's Coach of the Year both in 1980 and 1991. As a player, he was a 4-year letter winner for Ron, 2-time NAIA All-American, and was team captain as a senior. Since retiring from coaching, he has worked as a scout for the Chicago Blackhawks. He's a good friend to all of us in the room. It's great to see him back here, and this year's winner of the McInnes Award, Rick Comley.
I haven't been here for a while, and I know we all get the memo to be brief, but somehow at this dinner that gets lost, for sure. But it's a great group. It's funny. I think back, Jackie, to about 1976 at Doral, when we had that, obviously a long time ago. But, I always felt in all the years that I coached that this was the highlight of every season. And it wasn't the first game. It was just getting down here and kind of letting everything heal. And I thought you grew down here. And just in the short time we've been here tonight, you see that hasn't been lost. And as long as that is never lost, the game's in great shape. So, I appreciate this, Joe, Bruce, everybody involved. I want to make sure I introduce my wife, Diane, who's sitting over here, my daughter, Jillian, and my granddaughter, Katie. My son, Rick, couldn't come. I tried to get him to come, but he's in Omaha watching USHL games. And, I'm not going to go back over, a lot. The McInnes one is special to me because as a player at Lake Superior on their first varsity team, John at Michigan Tech, played Lake Superior. And that was a big thing to kind of get that program going. And then when we started the program at Northern, John, again, was very instrumental. He became a good friend, a good mentor. And I think, when I think back to those early days, and it was John and Emil and Snooks and Jack, they kind of set the standard for everybody. So John did that for me. So to be able to, have my name associated with him, even now when I go up to Tech to watch a game, I look for Jerry, his wife. And she's not there a lot, but we still sit and talk and kind of go over the old times. And they're very, very special times. I know, the highs, the lows, we all have those great years and those not so great years. But it's just, it's such a special profession, and you're very fortunate to be a part of it. I congratulate all the award winners. And great history of hockey. The national champions, Mike, and tremendous job year after year. Jimmy, I watched your team. It was fun to watch. It was a great team, well coached, and it just represented college hockey so well. So congratulations to everybody, and the only thing I can say is keep it going because it's a great, great sport. Thanks.
For many years now, the AHCA has maintained a relationship with the American Collegiate Hockey Association. Now, Joe asked me to make sure I got my HCs and my CHs correct, because apparently I goofed before, but Joe, as you know, with my professional obligations, the CH is permanently ingrained in my mind right now. The governing body for non-varsity hockey in the United States. I'd like to call up ACHA Division I Vice President Bill Shannon to present the ACHA Division I Coach of the Year Award. Bill?
Thank you, Dave. We're at nearly 500 teams now in the American Collegiate Hockey Association, and a good deal of that has to do with our involvement with the American Hockey Coaches Association. So thank you for having us. Minot State University head coach Wade Regier has been named the 2017 American Collegiate Hockey Association Men's Division I Coach of the Year. Regier becomes the 5th two-time recipient of the award since it was established in 2000. With Regier at the reins, the 2016-17 Beavers season culminated in a program record 35 wins and a semifinal appearance at the ACHA National Champion Tournament at Columbus, Ohio. They were the first ranked team in the ACHA Men's D1 poll for 11 straight weeks, extending from November through the final regular season poll, and arrived in Columbus as the tourney's #1 seed. The Beavers were defeated by eventual champion University of Central Oklahoma in the semifinals. Regier, an assistant coach and former ACHA Player of the Year, Wyatt Wasylenchuk, guided the Beavers to a 35-4-2 record. With a home record of 18-0, the Beavers went undefeated for the second consecutive season, this time on the brand-new Pepsi rink at the Mesa Arena. Their strong play at home helped to boost the Beavers' home attendance over the 1,200 mark per game. Regier assumed the head coaching duties in May of 2010. He's been a finalist for Coach of the Year 3 times. Originally from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Regier led the Saskatoon Chiefs of the North Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League in scoring the 3 straight seasons before excelling at Minot State from 2004 to 2008. He led the Beavers in scoring in his final 2 seasons and capped off his collegiate career by playing in the inaugural ACHA Men's Division I All-Star Game in 2008. Wade and his wife Ashley, a kindergarten teacher in Minot, have a daughter Everett who will turn 3 later this year, and they reside in Minot. The ACHA Division I Men's Coach of the Year, Wade Regier.
Thank you. I'd like to start off, first of all, it's nice to be able to win this award a second time. It gives me a chance to redo my original speech, which I had 4 years ago. I had thought I was a great public speaker. I came up, I had it flawless, I had it memorized, I came up and winged it, and afterwards it felt like I hit it out of the park. When I came back down to my table, my wife's hands were wide open and everybody else's hands were down there. I forgot to thank my wife. So I'm going to lead off by thanking my lovely wife, Ashley, for definitely supporting us as our wives are our better halves, especially as we go on the road quite often, being able to look after our little daughter, Everett. I really appreciate everything that she's done for me and supported me as well. My assistant coach, Wyatt Wasylenchuk, does so much for our program. He's also the goaltender coach for the Minot Minotauros, the NAHL team in town, as well as works within our youth organization, which has done a great job. And it's wonderful to have Wyatt on our staff, certainly a big part of what we do within our program. Brian Moran, Bill Shannon, Mike Wally with the ACHA have really seen a lot of growth within our organization, which has allowed our program to certainly grow.